What's up, tubers? Welcome back to another edition of Coding with Robbie. My name's Robbie, and in this video we're going to use React to build a crypto price information website. So check it out. Here's the completed project. We got a home page with some trending coins, and you can search for a coin and it'll find it. And then you can click into a coin and it'll give you a historical price graph and some additional details. And yeah, you can do that for any coin pretty much. And to build this, we're going to be using the Coingecko API. This is a free API that's super easy to use. So if you check out the docs, they got some cool routes we can use to do all kinds of stuff. And yeah, this should be a fun one. So the goal for this video is 45 minutes, but we'll see how that goes. So before we get started, just make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment, let me know you're there. And yeah, let's get right into it. Alright, so let's kick things off by creating a new React app. I'm going to open up my terminal and just cd to my dev folder. This is where I store all my projects. I'm going to run npx create React app. And then we give it a name. I'm going to call mine Coiner and run the command. And this is going to generate a whole React app for us. Alright, it just finished. Now I'm going to cd into that folder. And I'm just going to install everything we're going to use right now. So I'm going to run npm install --save. We're going to be using React Router DOM. This is for routing. We're going to use Axios for AJAX requests. We're going to be using Sass. We're going to use Zustand for state, and then I'll install class names just in case we need it. So run that command. It's going to grab those packages. And then once it finishes, I'm going to open it up with code dot. And here's the generated app. So we have a public folder with static assets, and then we have our source folder with all the React and styles. And I'm going to go back to terminal and I'm going to run npm start to start our app up. And this should start it and open it up in the browser. And it's just compiling. It'll just take a second. And here we go. We got the hello world page right here. Let's go back to VS Code and we'll start laying out our app. So let's just delete everything we're not going to use. So I'm going to delete everything except for the index.js file. So delete all that. And then I'm going to make some new folders. I'm going to make a folder for pages. I'll make a folder for components. Oops. I'll make a folder for stores. And I think that's it. Let's go inside pages and we'll create a new file called home.jsx. And then let's just create a component. I'm using an extension called React Snippets. It's this one right here. You can install that and then you can just type RFC and it'll generate a functional component for you. So I just created a home component right here. I'll save that. And then let's go to our index.js and we can delete these three lines right here since we're no longer using it. I'm going to delete this web vital stuff and I'm going to take it out of strict mode. And then yeah, let's set up our router in here. So instead of app, I'm going to do a browser router. And this is coming from the React Router DOM package. And then this component takes routes, which also comes from React Router DOM. And then routes takes individual route elements or components. So I'll import route and then I'll go route. It's going to be the index path. And it's going to render the home element. So I'll start typing home. It'll suggest the import and add it. And then I'll just close that up. There we go. And let's see what errors we got. Do I have an error? Let's see what it says. Parsing error, unexpected token on line 10. So I forgot to close my component. So close that up. There we go. It compiled and we go back and we get home. So now let's set up one more route. So let's go in pages and let's create one called show.jsx. And this will be the page where we show the individual coin information. I'll type RFC, generate the component, save it. Go back to index and let's add one more route. And for this one, instead of index, we're going to put a path. And it's going to be slash and then the coin ID. And then for the element, we'll render that show component that we just created. So I'll start typing it. It suggests the import. I click it and then I close it. And there we go. And now we should have two routes. So I'm on the home and then I can go to say /Bitcoin. And it renders the show, and this can be anything. So that'll be equal to whatever coin we're actively viewing. So now let's fetch the top trending coins and display them on this homepage. So we'll be using the Coingecko API to get those. And then for all our state, we're going to be using Zustand. So let's set this up real quick. If you go to their getting started guide, it's super simple. So let's just copy this code, and I'll go inside my VS Code. I'll create a new store. I'll call it homestore.js. Let's paste in the example code, and ours is going to be called homestore. And we can delete all this stuff they gave us, and then let's export it at the bottom. So export default home store. And yeah, in here we're going to create a function. We'll call it fetch coins. And then let's check out the API. So if we go here, there's one called trending, which I want to use. Let me find it. Search/trending. So let's click into that, and let's try it out. And let's execute it. So it gets this route right here, and it returns the top trending coins. So let's copy this URL. And we're going to be using Axios for all AJAX requests. So let's go axios.get. Paste in that URL. And then this is going to be a promise. So we're going to use async and await. So let's await for that promise to finish. We'll assign it to res. And then let's just console.log res. And let's have our home page run this function whenever it mounts. So let's go to home. And to do that, we're going to use useEffect. So let's go react.useEffect. And then this gets a function. And the second argument is an array. And then, yeah, if we leave this blank, whatever's in here will just run once when the component mounts. So let's use our store and run that function. So to get our store, we just go const store is equal to home store. It'll suggest the import, click it, it'll import it. And that's a function. And now in here we can go store.fetch coins. So let's go back to our browser, and I'll go to the app, and I'll just inspect and go to console. Let me zoom in a bunch for you. You can see the component mounts, it fetches the data and logs it right here. So you can see inside data we have this coins array with the top trending coins. So we're going to use this array and render it on the screen. So let's go back to our store, and let's create some state to store those coins. So let's go, we'll just call it coins, and it'll be equal to an empty array by default. And then in here, we have to set the array to be the retrieved coins. So I don't want to return the whole object how they do, so I'm going to create a new array with just the stuff I want. So let's go const coins is equal to, we'll go res.data.coins, and then we'll do map, and this is going to receive a coin, and then we'll open it up, and then let's return what we want. So I want, let's see, I want the ID, I want the image, and I want the name. So let's go name is equal to coin.item.name. Let's go image is equal to coin.item.large, which is the large image right here. And then let's get the ID. So let's go ID is equal to coin.item.id. And don't forget your trailing commas. And then what else do we want? There should be a price. Let's get price BTC. So let's go price BTC is equal to coin.item.price BTC. And then this will create a new array, loop through those coins, and return an object like that for each one. So let's just console.log coins now and see what we did. So if we go back here and I refresh, this is what our kind of processed coin array looks like. So it just has the name, the image, the ID, and the price. So now let's set that on state. So let's set coins to be equal to this array right here. And to do that, you just go set, and then we want coins to be equal to our coins variable right here. And then those match, so we can just shorten it up. There we go. Let's delete this console.log. And now we have all those coins in state, and we can render them on the screen here. So let's go back to home, and let's just loop through them. So we'll go in here, and we'll go store.coins.map, And for each coin, we want to return, let's just do a div. And then let's do a link. And link comes from React Router DOM. We want to link to our show page, which would be slash, and then we want the coin ID. So let's change this to backticks. So we can use string interpolation, I think that's how you say it. And let's put the coin.id in here. And then inside that, we'll just do the coin.name. So let's save that, and each one of these needs a unique key. So let's go key is equal to coin ID. And let's see if that worked. So here we go, we got our list of trending coins, and we can click into them and it goes to the right URL. Now let's add our search box to the home page. So let's go back to our code, and above the list of coins, I'm gonna do a new input, and it'll be type text. And that's it. Let's put the input, and let's go to our store, and let's create a piece of state called query, and this will be equal to the value that's typed into that input. It'll be equal to empty string by default, and then we need a function to update that piece of state. So let's go, what do we call it? Set query sounds good. So let's do this. It's going to receive the HTML event, and then we're going to set the query up here. So let's go set. We want to set query, and we want it to be equal to e.target.value, which is the value they typed in. So do that, put the comma right there. And let's go back to our home page now, and let's set the value to be equal to store.query, and let's add an onChange event and have it run store.setQuery. So let's go back and see if that works. So we can type in it fine, so it's working good. And yeah, now we gotta basically search when someone types into this. So let's go back to our home store, and let's create a new function called search coins. And this function is going to get the current query. So let's get that. Let's go const query is equal to home store dot get state dot query, but we can shorten that up by using destructuring. There we go, and let's just console.log query to make sure it works. And then after this, let's have it run our search function down here. So let's go home store dot get state dot search coins. Let's see if that works. Let's go back here and we type, and you can see it logging it. So now we actually need to hit the API and fetch those coins. So let's go in here, and let's do const res is equal to await. So we have to make this an async function, and then we're going to await axios.get, and let's check out the API again, and let's find the search one. I think I passed it. We're going to use search. Let's try it out. Let's say we're searching for Bitcoin and execute it. And it hits this route right here, and when you hit it, it's going to return all the matching cryptocurrencies. So let's do backticks right here. We'll paste it in, and then our query is going to be equal to the query that we just got up here. And let's just console.log the result. So console.log res, and let's go here and try it out. Let's go to network, and let's just search Bitcoin, and you can see it's going to search like crazy for every single character, but it is working. So let's where is it? Let's see the response. Yeah, we're getting all our coins. So let's debounce this search event so it doesn't search all the time. It'll wait for a pause. So you just Google JavaScript debounce function. David Walsh has a good one, so I'll just click this. Here's his function right here. I'm going to copy it. Let's go to our project. We'll make a new folder called helpers, and then in there I'll create a file called debounce.js, paste in that function, and then let's just export default that function, and now we can use it within our store. So let's Let's go to our search coins. This is the one that's actually hitting that API, and let's wrap it into bounce. So we can start typing to bounce. It's going to suggest the import, and we put the first argument is the function we wanted to bounce, and the second argument is the delay we want to wait for. So let's wait 500 milliseconds. Save that, and let's go back and see if it worked. I gotta zoom out a little bit so we can see it a little better. And now if I search, you can see it's not going to search until I let go, and it waits 500 milliseconds. So this is much better for performance. So that looks good. So now we got to display the search results on the screen. So let's see, let's console.log res.data. And let's go back to console. Let me close this and search for something. So let's see what the data looks like. We get all this data back. And if we go to coins, we get a bunch of objects. And let's see, it has the ID, it has the image, and it has the name. So let's store all that in state. So we're going to do the same kind of thing where we process that big object and just get the stuff we want. So let's go const coins is equal to res.data.coins. And this is going to get a coin. And we want to return name. And this time it doesn't have item, so it's just coin.name. We want the image, which is coin.large. And then we want the ID, which is coin.id. And this route doesn't give us the price in BTC, so we'll skip over that. And here we got our new coins. So let's set that onto state when they search. So let's go set, and then we'll set coins equal to, and then our coins object right up there, just like that. And let's see what happens. So now I search for Bitcoin, and we get an error. It says res.data.coins is not a function. So let's go back here. And I forgot to put .map. So let's add that and try it again. I'll refresh. I'll search for Bitcoin. And there we go. It finds all the Bitcoin currencies, and it displays them all. So this is pretty good, but there's a couple errors I want to address. So one, if we go back, it has no way to revert to the trending coins. And it's actually going to search just an empty string and just give us a ton of currencies. And it's super slow to load that. So to fix that, we can go back to our store. And let's make it so you have to search at least 3 characters for it to fire off. So let's go if query.length is greater than 2. Then we'll hit the API and replace the coins piece of state. And then otherwise, we'll revert it back to the trending coins. So let's see what that did. So now if we search and we go less than 3, it's not going to do anything. So now we got to revert to the trending coins. So we could hit that trending API route again, but I think it would be better just to keep a backup in our state. So let's create a new piece of state called trending. And then when we fetch the trending coins, we'll set it both places. So let's go to our fetch coins function, and we'll say, hey, let's also set trending to be equal to coins. And then up here in the else, so if it's less than 3 characters, we'll just revert it back to the trending coins. So first we gotta get trending up here, and then we can set it down here. Just go set coins equal to trending. So let's try that out. I'll just refresh, I'll search for ETH, and I get all these coins, and then I go back, and it reverts back to trending. So aside from styling this and showing some additional data, that's pretty much the functionality of the home page that we wanted. So we're gonna start working on the show page, and then we'll come back and style everything. So let's go to Ethereum, and we'll start working on the show page. So we're gonna create a new store for that page. I'll just go show store.js, and I'm just gonna copy the home store and delete everything inside it. And change this to show store. So now when someone loads the show page, we want to basically fetch a bunch of data. So let's create a function in here called fetch data. And then in our, let's have it console.log something. And then in our component, let's have it run this function upon mount. So we'll go to our show component, and I'll do use effect again. So React.use effect, it's going to get a function, and then an empty array. And then in here, let's get our store real quick up here. Let's go const store is equal to show store, and it's going to import it. And then we can go store.fetch data, just like that. And let's see what's going on. So we got some errors. If I refresh, okay, errors are gone. So we get that hey message. So I guess the next thing we have to do is get the ID of the coin from the URL. So to do that, React Router DOM has a hook for that, and it's called use params. So let's go const params is equal to use params. It's going to import it from React Router DOM. And then let's just console.log params, see what we get. And I get an object with ID is equal to Ethereum. So let's pass that to our function. We'll go params.id. And then let's go back to our function here. And it's going to get the ID now. So let's make sure that's passing correctly. Go back, refresh, and I get it, hey Ethereum. So let's see, now we need a new API path for the market data, so let's find that one. Okay, I think I was using this market chart one. Let's see what that looks like. So let's try it out. Let's say we're doing Ethereum. I don't know if I spelled that right. Let's do Bitcoin. And we're going to get it in USD, and let's do 7 days and execute. And you can see it hits that route, and it gives us a bunch of price data. So that's a timestamp, and that's the price at that timestamp. So let's copy the URL. This is what we're going to be using. And let's get it in here. So we'll go axios.get, and then backticks, and we'll paste in the URL. And this is going to be a promise, so let's use async and await. And then we'll assign the returned data to const res. And then let's go in here and let's see. Where we're plugging in the ID, we'll change it with the one from this variable. So let's go ID. And then let's just console.log that data to see if it's working. Go back to our page, and I'll just refresh, and you can see we're getting all our data right here. So now we're going to use this data to display a line chart right here, and to do that we're going to use a library called recharts. So this is super popular, and to install it you just install it with npm install. So let's run that command right now. I'll stop our server and I'll just run npm install --save recharts, and that's going to grab the library for us. And once that finishes, I'll just start it again. And let's check out their examples. And the one we're going to do is a simple area chart right here. So let's copy all this data and the imports right here. And we'll just paste it in our show component at the top here. And then let's go back and copy the component. So I'll just copy the area chart part. And I'm just going to paste it within this div. And let's format it. Configure it. There we go. And let's go back here and I'll refresh, and we're getting that bar chart. So now we just got to substitute our data for that sample data they gave us. So let's take a look at it. Here's what the data looks like. Let's just copy that and we'll go to our store. So right here we're gonna basically process that data to create an array like this. And then we'll save it to state and load it into our component. So let's create some state up here called graph data. And we'll make it an empty array to start. And then down here, we're gonna loop through that prices data. So let's go const graph data is equal to res.data.prices.map. And we'll get an individual price point for each one of those. And let's just return that sample data I copied. And let's take a look at the data. So if you open it up, it's an array, and the first value is the timestamp and the second is the price at that timestamp. So let's destructure both of those. We'll go const timestamp and price, but I'm going to name it just P since I already used price right there, off of price. And let's plug it in here. So let's go back to show and let's check out the component. So on the x-axis, we have that page A, page B. We want to change that to the date. So let's change this to date. And then let's go to our store, change it to date. And for date, we're going to plug in our timestamp. And then let's go back. And then for the other part, we're using UV. Let's change it to price. Go back to our store and we'll add a price and set it equal to P, which is the price at that timestamp. And now let's just delete all these. Save that. And now let's set this graph data up here. So we can just go set graph data is equal to graph data. And then let's go to our show component and we're going to import that from state and plug it in. So let's go, where is it? Right here. This is now going to be store.graphData. Let's see if we broke it, and we did. We got an error. Graph date is not defined, so I spelled something wrong. Let's go back to show store, graph date. Where is that at? Let's see. Line 21 of show store. Line 21, graph data. There we go. Go back, refresh, and it's working. We're getting the price. So let's actually change it. If we go here, let's get way more days. Let's do 121. Refresh, that looks better. So now we're getting all those days. And now we just want to format those timestamps to be the actual date. So to do that, it's easy. We can just go const date is equal to, let's do lowercase, const date is equal to, and then we'll go new date and plug in the timestamp. And then we want to go and format it with to local date string. And we'll do NUS. And then let's plug it in right here. Let's go back and refresh. And now we're getting the date formatted a little better. So now we want to show additional info on the coin down here. So to get that, we're going to have to use another API route. And if you check out the API, the one we're going to use is coin/ID. And this will just give us a ton more data on a single coin. So let's go try it out. Let's type in Bitcoin. Localization, default true. I don't care about that. Let's do false. And then I'll leave all this blank. The only one I really want is market data. We'll do true right there. And let's execute it. And here's what the request looks like. And here's the data it's going to return. So let's add this to our show store. So I'll copy the URL. And then we'll also do that in fetch data. So we can run both of these requests at the same time with promise.all. So let's go const, let's go graph res and data res is equal to await capital promise.all. And then you just pass this an array of promises. So our new one is axios.get. And we'll paste in that URL, and then where Bitcoin is, we got to plug in the actual coin we're looking up with ID. And then let's copy this one up top here, like that. So now it's going to do both of those at the same time, and once it finishes, they'll get assigned to these two variables. So let's go down here, and graph data is now coming from graph res.data. So that should still work. Let's make sure we didn't break it. All right, we're still good. And now we also have available to us this data res. So let's console.log that. Go back here. Let's go console, and you can see it logging right here. And here's where we're getting all that other data. So now we can just start displaying data to fill in the page. So let's go up here and let's do a header. And let's do an H2, and we'll just display the coin name. So it would be store.data.name. And then maybe in parentheses, we'll show the symbol, which is store.data.symbol. And then maybe above that, we want the coin image. So let's go img src is equal to store.data.image.large. And let's see if that works. I'll go back here, I get the coin image and the name and symbol. but if we refresh, we get an error, and that's because we're trying to use those variables before we have the data. So to fix that, we can just go up here and we can just go, hey, if no store data, return an empty element. Otherwise, display all this stuff, and that fixes it. And then down below the graph, we can show a bunch more data, and I'm just gonna paste it in so I'm not looking around for all the different keys. But you can pause the video and see what we got here. So we got market cap rank, 24-hour high, 24-hour low, circulating supply, current price, and 1 year change. And if we refresh, we see we get all that data on here. So we're almost done with all the JavaScript, but one thing we skipped over is on the home page. In my example, I show the prices in USD, and if we go to our home store, you can see we only have the price in BTC currently. So to get it in USD, we have to get the current BTC price and then multiply it by this. So let's do that. Let's go to the Coingecko API. And the one we're going to be using is simple/price. So here's what it looks like. And it's going to return the data just like this. So let's copy this URL right here. And we're going to do another one of those promise.alls. So let's go const, and we'll go res, and then BTC res is equal to await promise.all, and then we give it an array of promises. So here's the second one, axios.get, and we'll paste in that URL that gets the price for BTC. And then the first one is the one we're already doing right here. So let's paste that above, just like that. And now we can delete this down here. And now we should have the Bitcoin price stored right here. So let's get it off that. We go const BTC price is equal to BTC res dot, what is it? Dot Bitcoin.USD. And let's just console.log that. BTC price. And we'll go back here and I'll just refresh. And I get cannot read area, cannot read properties of undefined, reading USD. So I did something wrong. And I forgot the .data.bitcoin.usd. Go back and we get it right there. So now down here, let's do price USD. And that's going to be this times BTC price. And then let's just console.log so we can see what we're getting. Console.log coins. Let's go back here and let's see. So we're getting the price in USD. So let's just format it so it only shows, I guess, like 6 decimal places. So to do that, we can just wrap this in parentheses and go to fixed. And we want 6 decimal places. And I guess we'll do the same for the BTC price. So let's refresh. And that, this one's super cheap, so we need more decimal places. Let's try 10. There we go. That should pretty much cover any crypto. So now we're pretty much down to just styling this and adding some little nice to haves. All right, so let's go back into VS Code and we're just gonna create a file in the source folder. We'll call it style.scss. And then we're gonna load this file within our index.js. We'll just go import./style.scss. And now it should be using our style sheet. So let's go inside it and let's just reset all the margin and padding. And we'll add box sizing border box. Let's see if it's working. It looks like all the margin and padding is gone. So let's start by creating that header bar. So let's create a new component. So I'll name it header.jsx. And I'll do RFC to just generate the component. And yeah, let's make this a header. And let's go in our style sheet. I'm going to create a width wrapper class. So let's just go width and we'll go max width is 600 pixels. We'll go margin 0 auto to center it, and then we'll do width 92%. So there's a little padding on the left and right of the window. So that looks good. Let's go back to our header. So it's going to be header class name header, And then let's do div class name width for that width wrapper. And then we want an h1, and we want this h1 to link to our root path, which is just slash, and links coming from React Router DOM. And then in here, I'm calling mine Coiner. So that looks good. Let's render this on the home page. So I'll go right here. I'll just start typing it and import it and close it. So let's go back. We got our header right there. So let's style it up. Let's go right in here. I'll just go dot header. I'm gonna go background number 111, color white, and let's see. Let's style our H1. We'll go text align center, color white, text transform uppercase. Let's see, let's go font size 20 pixels. And maybe let's do letter spacing 2 pixels. Let's see what that looks like. So that's not great. Let's set our font. Let's go up here, we'll go body, and we'll go font family. And I want the system font stack right here. There we go, that's a better font. Let's go back to our header component, and I have some text right here I gotta delete. And then let's go back here, and H1A should be color white. And let's remove the underline on all anchor tags. So I'll just go up here and I'll go text decoration none. Let's see how that looks. It's looking better. Let's add a little space on the top and bottom. So let's just do padding 20 pixels 0. So that's on the top and bottom. That looks pretty good. And we're gonna have a back arrow on some of the pages. So we're gonna be using material icons. Just search for, let's try left. Yeah, this one looks good right here. I'm gonna download it as an SVG. And let's see, let me open this up in Chrome. And let's go view source and just copy the code. So I'm gonna go back to header, and I'll just paste it in an anchor tag right here. And I'm gonna convert this to a view box. So we can just go view box is equal to 004848. And then I'll delete the height, and I want my width to be 24 pixels. And then let's set fill to a current color. So this will just make it to whatever the color is on the in CSS. So that looks good. Let's see how that looks. All right, there we go. And we're just gonna absolutely position it. So let's go to back here, and let's make width within header position relative. And then we'll get the SVG, and we'll just go position absolute. Let's go top 50%, left 0, and then margin top. And half of 24 is 12, so negative 12 pixels. Let's see if that looks right. There we go. And then let's make it sticky. So let's go position sticky, top 0. And let's add a Z index so it'll sit on top of everything. I'll just do 10. Everything looks good, but on the home page we shouldn't show this back arrow. So let's go back to our component, and let's make it accept a back prop, and we'll make it a Boolean. So that will allow us to go, hey, if back is true, render this A component, otherwise don't. And I don't know why I did A here. It should actually be a link, and it should link to the root path. Like that. Let's go back and see how that looks. Okay, that arrow's gone, and then let's render it on the show page. So I'll go right here, let's just start typing it, header, it shows up, and this time it'll take the back attribute, and we'll close it up. So now here's how it looks on the home page, and then I go to a show page, and we have this back arrow, which should be white. So let's go back here, and instead of H1A, let's make all A tags white. That should fix it, and it does. Now let's do this input area. So let's go back to our home component, and let's just wrap this in a header. Class name, I'll call it home search. And then we'll give this a heading, and we'll just say search for a coin. And then I'll move the input inside this new header element. So that looks good. Let's go to our style, and let's go dot header search. And let's just do padding on the top and bottom. So I'll do 40 pixels. And let's do text align center. Let's see what that gets us. Okay, and we forgot the width wrapper, so let's go back to home. And inside here, I'll just go div class name is equal to width. And then move all this in there. So that looks better. Now we gotta reset the input and style it. So let's go back here. And I'll go up here below body. Let's just go input type is equal to text. And we're gonna reset the appearance. So let's go appearance none. And this is one of the ones where you have to do all the browser prefixes. So let's go dash webkit dash moz dash ms and dash o. And then let's get rid of the border. We'll go border none. No outline. Let's make it display block and width 100%. And then border radius 0. And that should just make it a blank input. It does, we can't even see it. So now let's go back here. And I don't know why that text align center isn't working. So let's take a look. So the H2 is within there. Let's just do it on the H2 directly. I'm not sure why it wasn't working. So let's go back. What the heck? So let's see, home search. Oh, I did header search, so it should be home search right here. So let's move this back out, it should work fine. Go back, there we go, and now let's style the input. So let's make the font a little smaller. Let's go font size 32 pixels. And then we'll style our input. Let's give it a border of number DDD. We'll go padding 0 and 24 pixels. Line height, we'll go 54 pixels. And let's see how that looks. And I'm not seeing the border, so let's do, should be 1 pixel solid number DDD. So there we go. Let's add a border radius. Let's go border radius 8 pixels. And let's add a little gap between those. So I'll go on the H2, I'll go margin bottom 20 pixels. Let's check that out. Looks good. So next up is the list of cryptocurrencies. So let's go to the home component. And let's move this into a separate component. So I'll just call it, let's see, list item sounds good. Generate the component, and then let's paste in that code. So all of this. And then this is using links, so we have to import it. So I'll just type it, click it, and it imported it. And we're using coin, so let's make sure this accepts coin. And that looks good, so let's go back here and use it. So it's a list item, and it's gonna have key is coin.id, and we're gonna pass it coin. So coin is equal to coin. Close that up, and we can go back in here, and we don't need the key on here anymore. So let's delete that. Let's go to our page and see what's broken. Coin is not defined. So if I go back right here, it should be coin. And that'll fix it. So now let's go to the home component, and we'll give this class name home cryptos. And then we're gonna have a heading that says trending coins. And we gotta put this in a width wrapper. So let's go div class name is equal to width. Move all this in there. And then let's go to our style sheet, and let's go .home cryptos. And let's center the text. Let's do the H2 the same as this one, and we'll center it with text align center. And let's see how that looks. All right, that looks pretty good. I think the font's a little too big. Let's do 26. And let's add a little margin below this. We'll go margin bottom 20 pixels. All right, so now let's style the individual list items. So let's go in that component, and we'll give this class name home crypto. And then we're gonna have columns with different data. So let's just go div class name home crypto image. And then we'll have one for the name and one for the prices. So home crypto name and home crypto prices. So let's put the name within name. And then let's move all this within the A tag. And since it's in an A tag, I believe we have to do spans. So let's change that. There we go. And then for the image, let's go img src is equal to coin.image. And then close it. And then for the prices, we had, let's do another span. We had coin.price BTC. And then we had coin.price USD. And then let's put a dollar sign, or no, let's do USD after. And BTC after. So let's see how that looks. And we got all our data. So now we're going to style it up a little better. So let's go inside our style sheet and we'll do .home crypto. And let's go display flex, align item center. Let's add 20 pixels on the top and bottom. Let's add border bottom. And we'll go 1 pixel solid number DDD. And then let's go .home crypto name. Let's make it flex 1 so it just fills the available space. Now let's go home crypto image. And let's make that width 50 pixels. And then let's put some default styles on the image tag. So let's go back up here. And I'll just go IMG and we'll go max width 100% display block. So let's go back and see how that looks. It didn't really make a change, so I did something wrong. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we need a display block on the spans. So let's go in here and let's just go span display block. And see if that fixed it, and it did. And then our display flex isn't working. So that's because within this div we have a A tag, so let's put that on the A actually. There we go, and then let's put a little gap in between the columns. So we can just go on here and we'll go gap 30 pixels. Let's check that out. It's starting to look better. Let's edit the text now. So within name, let's go font size 20 pixels, color number 111, and we'll go font size, I already did that. Let's go font weight. Let's try 600. See how that looks. It looks pretty good. Now let's do the pricing. So let's add a couple more classes here. Let's go in here and let's go class name is equal to home crypto, and let's go BTC and USD. Let me just copy this class right here. Go back down here and let's style it. And let's go colors number 111. Let's go font size. Let's try 18 pixels. And then for USD, it's going to be below it and smaller. So let's go color. Let's try number 666. And font size, let's go, I think I did 10 in my example. Let's see how that looks. All right, it's starting to look better. Let's put that in parentheses. There we go, and we'll add the little Bitcoin icon in a second. This is too big, let's make it a little smaller. Let's go font size 16 pixels. Go back, check it out, it's looking better already, and then we just gotta add a border up here. So let's go on, let's see what I call it. We don't even have a surrounding div, so let's wrap this. Home cryptos list. And then we'll add a border on that div. So let's go back and we got, where do we want to put it? Right up here. .home cryptos list. And we want border top. See if that did the trick. Looks good. Yeah. And let's add a little space below home cryptos. Let's go padding bottom. Let's do 60 pixels. Alright, that looks pretty good. All right, so now we're gonna put the little Bitcoin icon right here and we're gonna fix a bug. So if you search for a coin, when we're searching, it doesn't give us the price. So we're gonna hide this column when we're not on trending. And let's just download this image right here. And let's see, let's put it within our public folder. So now we got bitcoin.webp. So let's put it right here. Let's go img src / bitcoin.webp. And let's see how that looks. So it's gigantic, so let's make it small. So let's go in home crypto BTC. Home crypto BTC, and let's style the image tag within there. Let's go with 20 pixels. Display inline block. Let's go margin -2 pixels, 5 pixels, 0, 0. And then let's go vertical align middle. And let's see how that looks. So that's looking better. It needs to be negative margin a little more. Let's go 4. And that's a little too wide. Let's try 16. I think that looks nice. And actually, it's 1 pixel off. Let's do 3. There we go. That looks good. And yeah, if we search, we got to hide that column since we don't have prices. So let's go back to our component. And where are we at? Where are we at? List item. And let's wrap the whole prices column in brackets. And then we'll put coin.price BTC and that might fix it. It might not. Let's see. Yep, it fixes it. All right, that looks good for the home page. So now let's style the show page. All right, so let's start with this little header area. I'm gonna go to my show component. I'm just gonna close everything else because it's getting messy. And let's go to the header right here. We'll add class name, show header. And then let's go to our style sheet. Go to the bottom, I'll do .show header. Let's add some padding. So let's go padding 40 pixels 0. Text align center. And then let's style the H2. We'll go font size 32 pixels. And let's style the image. Let's go image. Let's go width 80 pixels. Border radius 50%. Let's see how that looks. Go back. There we go. We got to center the image. So let's go margin 0 auto. Go back. It's looking good. Let's add a little space between them. So on the H2, let's go margin top. Let's try 10 pixels. Looking good. So now let's do this little graph area. So you should still have responsive container imported and not used. And how this works is it basically just takes the size of the parent container. So let's wrap this in a div, and we'll class name, we'll call it show graph. And then within there, we're gonna have responsive container. And let me look up how to do that real quick. I think you might have to put a width and a height on it. So let's see, we'll go to examples, simple area chart. Let's see, responsive container. Yep, you gotta put width and height 100%. So let's add that. And then let's add our area chart within responsive container. And let's delete the width and height from the area chart. And now let's give this a height. So let's go inside style, .show graph. Let's go height 200 pixels, width 100%. And let's see if that worked. We'll go back to our page. And there we go, that looks good. Now let's wrap everything in that width wrapper class. So let's go, actually outside of that, let's go div class is equal to width. And let me just minimize this and put the closing div right there. See how that looks. It's looking good. So last up, we just got this bottom part. Let's go back into VS Code and let's wrap it in a div. We'll just go div class name and we'll call it show details. And then we wanted this to have a heading. We'll just say H2 details. And then let's copy in all these divs we have. Now let's give them all a class name. So let's go and select them all, and then we'll go class name is equal to, and we'll go show details row. And now let's style it. Let's go into our style sheet at the bottom. Let's see what we're working with right now. So it needs some space below the graph, and then we got to put everything in that width wrapper. So let's go back. And let's go div class name is equal to width. And then we got to bring the closing div down there. And let's style the H2. Well, first let's go padding top 40 pixels, padding bottom 60 pixels. And then we'll style the H2, and I'm going to copy the styles from our other section. Where is it at? Let's do all this. Let's see how that looks. So it's looking better. Now we just got to style the rows. So let's go show details row. And let's go display flex, align item center, justify content, space between. And then let's do padding on the top and bottom. And let's do border bottom, let's do border bottom. 1 pixel solid number DDD. Let's check that out. So it's looking good. Let's give this font size 16. So that was an H4, when really it should be an H3. So let's change that right now. Change all occurrences, H3, and then let's go in here and go H3, font size 16 pixels. And then the non-H3 stuff, let's make it color number 666. Let's check that out. And actually I don't like that. Let's make everything 111. There we go. Nope, I changed my mind again. Alright, H3 should be number 111, and this should be number 666 up here. There we go, that looks pretty good. Alright, so the only thing left is showing kind of a little loader right here and changing the heading when we're on a search and not on trending. So let's implement that right now. So let's go back to home. And we got it right here. Let's wrap this in a class. We'll go div class name is equal to home search input. Like that. And then we're gonna download a little spinner icon. So I'm gonna use Font Awesome. And if you just search for loading, they have the spinner one. So let's download the SVG. And oh, it copies it. That's cool. So let's go in here and let's paste it right here. And let's go with 20 pixels. And let's delete this comma. Let me turn on word wrap. Let's delete this comment right here. And let's go fill current color. And let's see what we got. We'll go back here. So there we go. We're going to absolutely position it right here. So we can go back to our style sheet. And let's add position relative to our input class, which, let me get to the right part, home search. Let's go dot home search input position relative, and then let's get the SVG within there and go position absolute. You have to spell position right. And then let's go top 50% transform translate y negative 50%. And let's go right, let's try 16 and see how that looks. There we go. Now we just got to spin it. So let's see, CSS infinite rotate animation. And there's always a Stack Overflow answer. Here we go right here. Let's copy the code. Keyframes, I just need this part. So let's copy that. I'll just throw it up here. And then on that element, let's go animation. Let's go 2 seconds, infinite, or no, 2 seconds. What's the animation called? Rotating. Infinite linear. And that should spin it. So let's check that out. It's spinning, but we also have to add the transform to that animation. And I don't want all this prefixing. I'm going to delete all that. And then let's add transform or translate also. There we go. Now it's in the right spot. It's a little too close to the right, so let's go 24. Looks good, and we want that to be invisible by default, so let's go opacity 0. And then let's go, let's see. All right, there we go. Now we got to make it so when it's busy searching, it'll show that. So let's go to our home store. And let's add a new piece of state called searching. It'll be false by default. And then let's go to where it's searching right here. And at the beginning, let's set it to true. So let's go set searching is true. And then down here, once it finishes, let's set it back to false. In both cases. So searching is going to be false. All right, so now let's make it so when it's busy searching, it'll add a class to this. We'll just make it .searching. So let's go and .searching. So when it has that class on the SVG, we want to go opacity 1. So it's visible. And let's add a transition so it fades it in. Let's go transition 0.2 seconds opacity. And then we got to go to our home component. And we got to add a class to this. So let's use that class names package I had you install in the beginning. So class names. And then we'll do a comma in brackets and we'll say, hey, add class searching when store.searching. I think that should do it. Let's try it out. Go back here and I'm searching and it shows it and then it fades it away. All right, so last up, we just have to change this heading. So when it's search results, it'll say search results and otherwise it'll say trending. So I couldn't really think of a way to do it with the data we have currently. So let's go back to our store and let's just add another one called, I guess we'll call it searched. And it'll be false by default. And then let's go down here and right here we'll do searched true. And that's at the end of searching using the API. And then otherwise, when we're not searching, let's go searched false. And now let's use that piece of state within our component. So let's go here and let's go store.searched question mark. And when we're searching, we want it to show search results. Otherwise, we want it to show trending coins. Let's see if that works. So refresh, and it says search results. And then when I go back, it goes back to trending. I found a couple more bugs we have to fix. So what I don't like is, say we go to a show page, and then we go back and click another one. There's a flash where all the content's changing. I'm trying to get it to where you can see it good. Like right there, it just flashed. So to fix that, it's pretty easy. Let's just make it so it clears the state when we leave the show page. So let's go to our show store. And let's just add a new function called reset. And let's have this just reset some states. Let's go set. And when we reset, we'll set graph data to be an empty array again. And we'll set data back to null. Just like that. And now let's run this when we leave the show page. So we can go to the show page. And to do that, you just return a function in your use effect. So let's return a function that runs store.reset. And that should fix it. Let's try that out. I'll go back. Let me just hard refresh. Click into one. Go back. It should clear it. Click into another. And there shouldn't be a flash now. So I believe it's fixed, but it's happening so fast you can't really tell. I just noticed another thing. When we do click, there's a flash for this header bar. I want that to just display all the time. So let's go in our show component. And right here we have this, hey, if there's no data, don't show it. And the header is kind of below that. So instead of doing it up here, let's take it down here. And let's just go right here. We'll go, hey, if no store.data, or no, the opposite. If there is store.data, then render this fragment right here. and let's wrap all our stuff in there like that. So now this header will always render, and that should kill the flash. Let's try that out. So yeah, now it doesn't flash anymore. So it's looking good. And then one other error we have is when we search for something. So say I go Bitcoin, I get all the Bitcoins, I go to Bitcoin, and then I come back and it resets. So that's kind of a similar issue we're having. So if we go to our home store, every time we come back to the home store, it's rerunning this fetch coins function. So what we really want to do is if store.coins is, or no, let's go, if store.trending .length is equal to 0. So that's only true the first time, and then once we fetch trending, it'll always be greater than 0. So this should only run once from now on. Let's see if that fixed it. I'll go back, I'll just refresh. I go Bitcoin, I get the Bitcoins, I go into one and then go back. And yeah, now I still got all the Bitcoin stuff. So that fixes it. And yeah, that concludes our video on building a crypto price tracking app in React. So I hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe, leave a comment, let me know you're there, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.